Humility in him. He said, okay, tomorrow what we do? We will call our senior supervisor, the head of the session, another professor, many years, that you will present and then we see. To cut long story short, by the time I now present my own feeling that what I've been done, and of course, what I was saying, a number of people have got their PhD before then, based on that concept. By the time I presented, then Professor Akira, the most of them said, well, Femi, I like your confidence, even though I cannot say that I still understand what you are saying. He then said, you will be the one to present the paper at the summer school. I nearly collapsed. It was no. I said, what do you mean no? My father said, yes, what's no? No, go ahead. The essence of this job, you can make mistakes, you learn from it. To cut long story short, we were at the summer school. I was sitting by the side of my supervisor. The person who gave the keynote address, who was the guy as an authority, as he was presenting, the fellow, he now said, let me correct certain fallacies. And it was as if he had spied on my paper. By the time I was saying it was at that point that my supervisor started understanding. Because now I was able to use the language and whatever. So by the time I presented my paper, it was welcome. And I was with a black man there. It was so welcome. As soon as we returned to the university, I was supposed to write up for masters. Then my supervisor and the senior supervisor said, look, don't waste your time. Forget about master. Just go straight to your PhD. That was why I was only able to spend 2 years and 5 months. The message in that is what is this definition? That we must be able to welcome students challenging interpretation. We must not discourage. So that's why I boldly challenge all of us with this statement of what is going on currently. That unfortunately, rather than ensuring that our graduates are adaptive, competent, and intellectually bold, we increasingly focus on developing highly specific technical skills deployed in predictable settings. We have been concerned with the derivatives rather than the fundamentals. What is learned rather than how it is learned. Training for the short term rather than education for life. It is a challenge for all of us. Teaching and research, which we always say that are the things that in the university that we are concerned with teaching, research, and community service. What we are seeing in here is that the best research and the best teaching depends upon the culture and individual attitude that value curiosity, skepticism, serendipity, creativity, and even genius. They are values that are crucial to the university educational process at its most profound and most readily acquired in the environment of free-ranging speculation and research. And as Martin has said, that which I agree absolutely. The transfer of research-derived understanding to society by graduates who embody it is probably the most powerful vector by which it reaches society. More important than publication, spin-out, and technology transfer offices. In other words, the essence of research is not so much what topic somebody has taken for his research, let's say even for PhD. It is not. It is the teaching in research. It is the process that is more important than the product. That is the process of somebody identifying the problem, doing the analysis, then coming with a solution as is taking care through that process. Today may be in engineering, tomorrow you can apply it to social problems or wherever he finds himself. What he's saying is that the greatest product, outcome of university education, is probably a kind of research-oriented. We are not saying that those who feel, no, those who adopt, who imbibe the culture of finding out things, not just jumping to conclusions. So when government says, yes, entrepreneurship, we must do this, we must do that, yes, fine. But basically what is happening is that it's not just entrepreneurship by itself. It is the fact that the students themselves, the graduates themselves, they are set in the way of thinking, the way of finding out, asking questions, and analyzing. That is what we have to imbibe in the graduates from this system. So, having said this and setting the stage for what universities should be doing, and now say, okay, what is the nature of challenge? And I quickly say that, we are challenged by industrial development. We are talking of a level of employment, and this we face global competitiveness and industrial development. There is no need to convince anybody that industrialization is key. If you are to solve an employment problem, surely your industries must be able to be buoyant. They must be thriving. People must be coming in with new ideas. And those in the system must be strengthened to face competition. And why I see competition is important? Because there is no nation now that can operate the iron curtain again. You cannot close your borders again. Nigeria is doing that. Government has banned certain things. What happens? They have ways of, you create premiums. People will bring them through other routes. So there's no point. Just be ready to compete. That is why we have to face global competitiveness. When our textile industry, more or less has collapsed, it is competition at play. When new systems are not able to come on, it's competition at play, because the common man on the street will look at the best price for him. It's not a question of appealing to their nationalism. No, nobody is nationalist, especially when you are operating in a nation with so many people. Before the poor man's face is Naira, he will look for the best. And he doesn't care whether that product is from Ghana or from anywhere. And of course, meeting various development initiatives. Why is it industry? As I've said, it provides service to members of society, making consumer capital goods, creating new products, generating new companies and opportunities, and providing the unlimited new job for the population. In other words, the message is this. If we are to solve an unemployment problem, the bottom line is our industry must be strengthened to compete. Competition, and what's the nature of global competition we are having now? I said in here, is basically for control of markets and resources between global corporations and financial markets on the one hand, and locally owned businesses having local markets on the other. In other words, those who are really globalizing, they are looking to control your market. And Nigeria with a population of about 160 million, 150 million, people, some would like to see us as market rather than being productive. And then resources. Let's look at resources. We say oil and gas and so on. Major resources driving our economy. But let's ask our fundamental question. Who is in control? Today, having been in that sector for many years, we are still talking of local content. So, the market and resources. Another thing that is coming now, which I hope Nigeria will not make that mistake, which some African countries are already making, is the land grab. Land now as a resource is not something that the globalizing agents are looking for. After the food crisis in China, the policy now is to go out to areas where they still have land and see how you can get land, to start growing crops that you export back to the country. If you know how many hectares of land that China and a few other countries have already acquired, and bringing their own technology and their people, and growing crops Nigeria will not open up and allow our land, which is a major resource, to be grabbed. Because you can be offered tempting offers. And they say, oh, it will improve your GDP and so on. But the bottom line, go and ask them in Tanzania where it has happened. They took choice land. And before you know it, Tanzania was, nearly had a food crisis. Because they were no longer able to grow their normal food crops. The land that they had left was much tougher than what they had left to the Chinese. So, it's very key. I said some of the consequences you are having is unregulated global economy, concentration of power, loss of jobs, brain drain. You know what all this has been. Some indicators of globalization. World billionaires, not naira, dollars. In 1991, 274. In 1997, 477. And today, you've been talking about almost 1,000. But out of the 100 biggest economies, 51 are not countries, but transnational corporations. In other words, some companies are bigger than the country. Even people say that Harvard University, that the budget is almost equal to the Nigerian budget. Now, how can you compete with such? If they choose to choose an area in which they are interested in. 500 largest corporations shared $4.4 million between 1980 and 1993. As technology comes in, they will just shake your hand, thank you, you don't need your service anymore. Then you get your entitlement, and you are gone. Corporate minded. So the challenge is, how can we reclaim and build our local economy? By working to create and sustain locally owned enterprises that sustainably harvest and process our local resources to produce jobs and the goods and services that we need to live happy, and fulfilling life in balance with the environment. That is the challenge. And what is the imperative for this challenge? I said you must need to seek understand the forces that drive globalization. What are the forces driving globalization? And I say straight away, it is nothing more than these basic things: knowledge, information, and innovation. Those are the three tools. When you strip everything down, people talk of knowledge economy. Now, we can now see universities coming. I think universities will look at ourselves as knowledge workers. So, we are then here for quality there. Information. We have seen how ICT has transformed everything. And then innovation, which I will describe later. So the imperative of knowledge is that global or local competition will continue to place an ever greater premium on the energy of science technology to the engine of economic progress. Knowledge is now a leading factor of production around the world. And the ability of any nation to create, master, and mobilize knowledge are now distinguishing economies. How do we create knowledge? But it's not only knowledge for knowledge's sake. How does that knowledge end up in the proper place in the economy? We distinguish whether we'll be able to compete. How about information? I say if you permit a degree of access to knowledge, to technology, and to methods of production and management that allow the rapid diffusion of industrial capacity. Let me digress a bit, because that is very important information on what ICT is doing. I used to say, although quite a number of my colleagues never felt comfortable with this, that maybe about 20-25 years ago, we could describe lecturers in university as lecturers. And the design of our classroom is almost what you are seeing. And the lecturer in front as I am. They are all looking at me. And I radiate to all of you knowledge. And as at that time, you could say, yes, the lecturer could be at the cutting edge of knowledge in his field. But how about now? Can any lecturer lay claim that in his field is at the cutting edge? The rate of obsolescence of that knowledge is so fast. And that's why we say that universities are no longer the only source of knowledge. There's knowledge explosion out there. There are other knowledge sources. And I'm sure you people have taken, most of you students and staff must have taken advantage of that. If you are going to a new area, you don't start looking for books. You probably go to you Google it, and what happened? You are bombarded by what's happening in that area. In my area of micromechanics one day, I even went in there. Maybe because one has been in administration, you have not time to go back to academics. By the time I went in there, I didn't understand more than half of what you are talking about. They are moved. And that's why you say lecturers are no longer lecturers as such in the sense that we have to now be humble to appreciate the fact that we are now facilitators. And I mean that seriously, because I had personal experience of that. A student of mine, first degree, we used to give them projects. They would write up, we call it thesis, BSc thesis. You give projects, you are not expecting anything new as well. It's not PhD or master's. All you want to achieve is that you want to introduce that student to that area of knowledge. And then maybe something, new may just come, but nothing that is that cheap. And there was this topic I used to give every year. I think it was the third year. Whenever I gave to the next student, I will give him the thesis of those who had had their work, so that he will know that you have to add something. So this student opted for to do research in the area. He did my project. And then I sat with him, explaining, taking him through, and as if he could just move this beyond this, to a certain level, I'll be satisfied. So what is it to say? 3 weeks after, he asked that he would like to see me, that he had solved the problem. And the project was supposed to be done for a whole session. So my feeling was that, I said, you mean that you don't even understand yet what the problem? No, he says, no. So I created time for him. So what is it to say? It went beyond even my own imagination. It was now my turn to ask him, how did you do this? How did you do that? How did you do this? Show me this, show me that. Who is this professor? But you have to develop the humility to learn from him. That's what I mean. But that's our responsibility. And we should derive joy from that. It is not, you are not competing with the students. No. It's of if, by the time the student gets his PhD, his supervisor understands everything in there and now, it's not a PhD. Because at certain end, the supervisor will say, well, look, maybe the external assessor will be able to assess this. As for me, I'm not quite sure, but I will leave you this your own idea. That is the reality we have now. So I said major challenges in development of science technology, which I've said before. So, and that we have to develop what we call farm-level technological capability. We have to help our enterprises to develop capacity. And for that, let me just cook my words. Well, of course, I've said this, that what is required is partnership between government, industry, and university. And I'll quickly give an example where that is at play. So, both first, the point. But before that, we've always said innovation. And oftentimes, people misunderstand innovation. And I said, let me just give an example of innovation that will make a difference in a developing economy like Nigeria. I said the process by which firms master and implement the design and model of goods and services that are known to them. Either whether or not they are known to their competitors, domestic or foreign. In other words, it doesn't have to be something new to everybody. It doesn't have to be an invention. and you innovate in terms of processes, and of course, innovations, as I said in here, occur in all aspects of life. When Einstein came up with relativity theory, that was an innovation. But it's not in the market. It's in the market of ideas. So we should not think that innovation is only the marketplace. No. So which means that we are challenged. So, I give an illustrative case quickly. You know Ibadan is the center of poultry industry in Nigeria. This young man that I covered in 202, which I'm sharing the case with you, he had a farm, producing broilers, eggs, and so on. As at that time, the cost of production was 200 naira per kg of flesh. That is when you buy, chicken in the market, chicken for flesh, broilers. That was the cost of production. But people were importing into the country, and they were selling it for 200 naira, which was the cost of its production. Then those in the poultry industry, they wanted to sell for 250 thereabouts. And they found that the chicken was arriving at about 140 naira, imported. And then those selling at 200, they were already making their gain. So they could not compete. They told me that the poultry association of Nigeria, their decision was that, look, they should get government to ban importation of chicken, so as to protect the local market. But he took a personal decision that no, he wanted to know that if somebody could import chicken to this country and it was costing, right from the port, 140 naira, getting to the port, it means that where they were bringing, probably to give only 120 naira, if not less. So which means that they must be using something, there must be something they were doing that was superior to his own. Because he happened to be a graduate of animal science, and he prided himself that he was at the top of feed formulation and things like that. So what did he do? He now Googled. He went to the internet to search companies in Malaysia, Brazil, and so on, producing chicken. To cut long story short, he was able to discover that there was a new technology they were using out there called tunnel ventilation system. And what that one does, basically, is a controlled atmosphere. If this place we're in is a pen where you have put day-old chicks, and you can control the atmosphere in such a way that you control the temperature and humidity, you will see what your chickens will do. They will respond. But if we leave them out, as most of our pens are doing, you leave them to the vagaries of the weather. If it is hot, let them fan themselves. If it is cold, you put lanterns and heat it up to provide them heat. Now let's see the difference between the technology. Our traditional technology, which was using duration to rearing for slaughter, you see them by the old chicks. Then you raise. You will raise for 56 days before you are ready to call it, that is to sell. With the new technology, 38 days. Total number of rearing cycles, 5 with our traditional technology. This one 7. What we mean is that when you clear the pen, you have sold your chicken, Before you bring in another set, you wait for it a bit. You can do that 5 times in a year with our own traditional technology. But this one, you can do it 7 times. Average weight per bird after feeding for 56 days, 1.9 kg. This one, after feeding for 13 days, it has been 2 kg. How about the feed? This one has eaten so much, 2.52 kg. That's causing your feet. And this one has eaten only 1.88. You can put 10,000 in the pen under our traditional technology. If you use controlled atmosphere, you can put 20,000. It's not surprising. Supposing you enter Danko, maybe you should carry, let's say 10 people. If you have 15 in there, I agree, you will be uncomfortable. But supposing that Danko has AC, is air conditioned, you may probably not feel too uncomfortable. So as for human beings, so also for animals. So you could put more. The bottom line, 191 traditional, 142. Suffice to say that it brought that technology to the country. Will it be ready to compete? 5-5. Exactly. Now, what is the lesson from that? Now, this was somebody, a graduate of the university that was able to ask, like who I would say has been properly educated to ask questions and seek solutions. Now, when he brought this technology, it was a student who did his industrial attachment in his farm that discovered that new technology was going on. In all his notes at the University of Ibadan, which is only 8 kilometers away, what he knew about poultry technology was based on still using the traditional technology. So when he presented his seminar, it was then that the professor of poultry technology got to know that there was something called TVA. But I must commend the professor. He quickly went in there to learn. And he now brought the technology to the class to try to see. And they told him that well, from there on, they will continue to help him. Now, what are the key lessons? That is, innovation can take place outside the university system. It's not the exclusive preserve of university innovation. It can take place at the shop floor. We must recognize that. And that innovation is not necessarily big science. It's not necessarily big science. Because it can utilize technological knowledge already in the public domain. And that's why I always make the point that the technology we need to transform the Nigerian economy is largely already in the public domain. Do you need new technology to run PACN? No. Our problem there is human problem. It's not a technical or technological problem. And you can bring even innovation using that existing technology. But I say, if you are to compete, then you need the backing of R&D for incremental innovation. Because those people you are taking the TVS from, they are not resting. They are moving. So if you allow the university now to provide the backup for the man who has brought that into the country, it too will continue to be ahead. You need the support. And I said in there that government can scan and the social sector, the first economy, and then guarantee institutions. And that, I quickly moved to show South Africa, what South Africa has done, which is number one economy. But what is the role that government, university, and industry playing in there? Let me just. South Africa carried out a serious evaluation of the economy. And they discovered that there were certain skill gaps, skills missing in construction industry, production industry, and so on. they identified, and they said, where will these skills gaps be filled? They look at the university system, private institutions, and so on. Then they also realized that there are mineral benefits. I mean, they now say that they must have mineral benefits, just as we also have minerals. But that they must add value, not just exporting the mineral without value. And they said that they want to move from resource-driven to knowledge-driven economy. And then they said, enhance manufacture in the area of automotive, chemical, plastic, metal, product, textile. Particularly in textile. They set as their target that they must catch up with India, which was ahead of them in terms of cost, quality, and so on. So, we call those stories. What did they do? Let me just. What they did was to challenge universities, look at their universities, and try to see the capacities of those universities in the different areas of interest. And on the basis of that, this was done by the Department of Science and Technology, just like our Ministry of Science and Tech. They challenge those universities to go out there to the different sectors, identify the skill gaps, identify what will it take for those in the sector to be able to compete. Not only the big, no, from micro, small enterprises. And having identified, you now see how the technology station of university. In the area of agro-food processing, it was given to Cape Peninsula University to concentrate on agro-food processing. Chemicals, Siwani University, composite materials, downstream chemical, clothing and textile. That one interested me. I went further to study what's happening there. In that university, they had the whole textile manufacturing line, funded by government. And there they were carrying out researches on program processes and so on. After 2-3 years, in collaboration with the actors in the industry, South Africa has overtaken India. Because they are now able, the textiles, to compete as a result of leveraging on the knowledge in the university, but done in collaboration with the actors in the industry. And all these universities are local. So, you can see in there, it may not be too clear. At the end of the day, those universities in those areas, they have been transacted in close to 1,658 different SMEs in the economy. So why would the economy not be strong? Because they are moving towards knowledge. In Nigeria, our textile industry has collapsed. Is anybody thinking that university even has got any role to play in bringing it back? We are only thinking in terms of pumping billions. So, this is a challenge for all of us. Closest Nigerian examples, which I quickly develop and give, because that is where I'm saying that university should not cocoon itself. There must be ways in which you can interact with the community to identify problems. At the University of Ibadan, we've always been joking that, all these motor mechanics by the roadside, are they really vehicle repairers or vehicle damagers? But can you blame them? A motor mechanic that has been trained on handling carburetors, suddenly he has seen the technology change, is to now handle what? Fuel injection. You know the first thing they will tell you. They will tell you, sir, okay, remove this thing, bring carburetor is better. He wants to bring the technology to his own level. And you can't blame him. So that's it. That our director of this time suddenly decided to do something. And they brought together the Department of Mechanical Engineering and Coscalis Motor Company. So now get roadside mechanics. We brought roadside mechanics to our office here in Lagos, about 20 of them. And we introduced them to the current technology of motor repairs. 2 kids, how to read on the computer, performances of different weather, fuel indication, and so on. And some of them not being too educated. We try to use the language they will understand. Suck and suffer. We tell you that you can read this one is for suck and suffer. This and that. But they're intelligent people. That's one thing about Nigerians. They absorb things fast. By the time they graduated after 3 months, they really went back and did excellently well. They are real people. During the graduation ceremony, convocation, I brought them to participate. You can imagine what that did to them. They saw the graduates with their destiny and they told, oh, no gown. No gown. But we put them together and I recognized them. They felt on top of the world. By the time we had to do the second round, we got almost 300 applications. That is the message we are saying. There's no way university, it doesn't cost us much to intervene. So I said question, is it a worthwhile endeavor for higher education institutions against their stated mission of teaching, research and community service to really get engaged? Does it take you away? How does this model compare with our PTDF, and is there any government establishment that is even thinking along these lines? In other words, how will university establish its relevance? Where those that even to challenge you don't even know what to challenge you. These are some of the fundamental problems. Then I just quickly go through Millennium Development Goals. NDGs, we know all these words of them. World Summit, Commission of Africa, just to say that we all know Millennium Development Goals. They work with death, poverty, hunger, and so on. So many indicators. And we have been on this since year 2000. Now this is 2012. How many years more? 3 more years. Where is Nigeria? And Kofi Annan reminded the heads of state that you will have time to reach the Millennium Development Goal only if you play with business as usual. We cannot win overnight. It takes time to train the teachers, nurses, and engineers to build the roads, grow small businesses, create the jobs, and one more than double global development assistance. In other words, it's a challenge. But we do take the challenge. What's the journey so far? If you go to the internet to check UN, to see the progress being made by various countries in implementing the Millennium Development Goals, because they have indicators, measurable. Certain things they will say 10%, certain things 20%. So you see each country saying where they are. Maybe the target is 25%, maybe they tell you we are 15%, but measured. In Nigeria, nothing is measured. What do you see? Statement like we are making steady progress, which accounts for nothing. Nothing. So, the Blair Commission, looking at Africa, also pointed out, it put squarely, that Africa, country like Nigeria, you cannot be looking for solutions from external sources. Solutions must come from within. If you are waiting for the World Bank of this world or the IMF to influence your policy, we're all human beings. They have their own vested interests. We have always said that even World Bank derailed African government in respect of higher education. Because in the 80s and 90s, World Bank philosophy was that higher education was not cost effective. And the government should concentrate on middle level primary. And our government accepted that. And that was the decline of funding of higher education. About that same time, the World Bank went to Malaysia to propose the same theory. Bandawi, who was the head of state there, he said, Mr. World Bank, you use our airport to enter Malaysia. You will now use the same place to leave the country. Because for Malaysia, Higher education is a matter of life or death. What do you have as example for Malaysia today? It was the cornerstone of their development. So, the most important of higher education. In Nigeria, we've got so many development plans, which I've noted here. First national thought, second thought, SAP, vision, national. Well, good. Take any of those documents. Excellent. But look at the implementation. So, in other words, we don't run out of ideas. The same ideas we have is what other countries have used. Some have even borrowed from us. But at the implementation level, you may find that the people who have the ideas, at the point of implementation or implementing, you remove them. You bring in people who don't even have a clue what it's all about. So I said, you overload challenge our universities are expected to produce not only product with the requisite skills to drive the economy, but also put money to engage in research and innovation for social economic development, and helping to transform our economy from resource building to knowledge distribution. I said this will not necessarily involve our this will necessarily involve our transforming into world-class institutions to gain relevance. And quickly, what do I mean? It not come from me that we must be world-class. When the federal government decided to fund 6 universities with special intervention from ATF to the tune of 5.5 billion, and we were called to Abuja, Ibadan was lucky to be one. The Honorable Minister then made this statement that the education sector is facing enormous challenges. The effective resolution of these challenges is precondition for our national development. As you are aware, the President himself is committed to realization of the 7-point agenda and our national vision of becoming one of the top 20 economies in the world by 2020. In order to succeed, the nation needs world-class manpower, possible only through world-class institutions. It's a statement coming from government. So he said that this calls for strategic investment towards improving the teaching and learning environment as well as the quality of lecturers in our institutions. So government has the idea. Now, he says that although it is globally acknowledged that Nigeria is a nation of great potential, our institutions that were once highly rated in the world and a source of national pride have lost such preeminence. Today, in the aggregate web ranking of world universities, no Nigerian university ranks among the top 50 in Africa. And no Nigerian university ranks among 1,000. Our ability to produce world-class manpower and conduct serious research for national development is therefore adversely affected. The situation is unacceptable and must be reversed. And they are coming from government. Won't you feel, wow, they've got it. Thank God that they use global ranking. Even though it's least understood what global ranking is all about. Global ranking, whether we like it or not in the university system, has become the standard by which we are measured. Take it or leave it. Here I share with you the importance of global ranking. Ranking of world universities September 2005 created a major controversy in Malaysia when they showed the country's top 2 universities, slipping almost 100 places down compared with those of previous years. Not the fact that the big drop was mostly as a result of change in ranking methodology, which was a little known part of limited comfort. The news was so traumatic that there were widespread calls for the establishment of a Royal Commission of Inquiry to investigate the matter. I said, yeah, thank God. A few weeks later, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Malaysia stepped down. This strong reaction was not out of character for a nation whose current nice development plan aims at shaping transformation of the country into a knowledge-based economy, with emphasis on the important contribution of the university sector. If we take the nice development plan of Malaysia, you will see the university being treated as an asset. The pride of place of university in delivering progress. So, you can then see the reaction of the Vice Chancellor. That how will you come down 100 places? I don't know. University of Ilorin. I hope they will not say that, well, how is Ilorin that I always be number one? Suddenly it's now number 8. I think we have to explain. Then the question is,